After their triumph at the Goblin hideout, the party of fun-loving adventurers was back on the road towards Phandalin, with the rescued Sildar in tow. This was an excellent opportunity to ask Sildar some questions pertaining to his capture. Sildar revealed that Gundren might have been taken to a place called Cragmore Castle, and that someone called the Black Spider was interested in him. He said that Cragmore Castle is run by the Goblin King and is curious who this Black Spider is. Otherwise, Sildar mentions that he is searching for an old colleague named Iarno Ulbrich. Apparently, Iarno went to Phandalin to take care of bandits in the area, and he never heard from him again. He described Iarno as a pale, skinny man with dark hair and a Robert Downey Jr. beard. That night, the group arrived at the frontier town of Phandalin. Most of the buildings were run down, while newer ones lined the main road. To the east of the town was a big, run-down manor. "Welcome to Phandalin, folks." Sildar took his leave from the group, saying he will be staying at the local inn if they need him. The party went to Barthen's Provisions first and met up with old Elmar Barthen. He was just about to lock up his shop, but was happy to hear the party were Gundren's employees. He excitedly asked when Gundren will be joining them, but was immediately saddened when informed of the dwarf's kidnapping. The man begged him to find his old friend. He also mentioned that Gundren's brothers, Tharden and Nundro, are camped outside of town somewhere. Yoon told everyone that Stonehill Inn is her home and that they'd be well looked after there. Across from the inn, they all saw a shrine to Tymora, the goddess of luck and fortune. Maddie and Luke immediately went to pray there, hoping for some good luck in the days to come. Aghanim, wanting to get a lay of the lands, went exploring the town while the rest of the group went into the inn. Yoon, Dustin and Karine immediately got to work finding out some information about Cragmore Castle, the Black Spider and whatever else they could lead them to finding their employer, Gundren. Yoon started a song based around Waybeco Cave to see if any of the patrons light up when they hear it. Dustin was approached by a gossipy barmaid named Elsa. She spoke about Darren Edermath, who runs the local orchard, and how he used to be an adventurer. Karine overheard an old weaver speak about Halia Thornton, the lady who runs the Phandalin Miners Exchange, and how the thuggish Red Brands don't mess with her any longer out of fear. Yoon noticed that Sildar was speaking to her adoptive father, Toblin Stonehill, and was curious about what it may have been about. Meanwhile, Maddie and Luke, after their prayers, went up the hill to the orchard and saw a rather good-looking older half-elf planting an apple tree. When he was approached, he questioned why they came to his humble orchard. Their reasoning was along the lines of, we were just walking around. The man introduced himself as Darren Edermath, and he lamented his frustrations about the state of Phandalin. A group of bandits, naming themselves the Red Brands, have started terrorizing the town. Apparently the Red Brands had a hideout under the ruined manor on the hill, and their leader is named Glassstaff. Maddie and Luke were keen on killing some people, and this seemed like a justified source of their needs. Darren, seeing the glint of adventurous spirit within the two of them, told them that apparently some miners were chased away from a ruin named the Old Owl Well by undead. If they wanted to investigate, that was a little bit of side-questing, adventuring fun for them. Aghanim walked around the town and found a watering hole named the Sleeping Giant. Outside sat a couple of thuggish-looking fellows sporting dusty red cloaks. Seeing a business opportunity, Aghanim asked the men whether they'd be keen on making a few coins, helping them find Cragmore Castle. The red cloaks came off as a bit antagonistic and rather rude, telling Aghanim in no uncertain terms to kindly fuck off. Aghanim, not to have some rude man ruin his evening, left without any further confrontation. On his way back to Stonehill Inn, he met up with Luke and Maddie. Aghanim told them about these assholes over at Sleeping Giant, and Luke nearly keeled over with glee. It's bandit smashing time! At Stonehill Inn, Dustin tried very hard to see if his friends were walking around outside, but failed noticing Luke and Maddie walk past. so he simply stayed at the inn with Yoon and Karin. Yoon asked Toblin what Sildar inquired about, and he said Sildar wanted to know if Iarno Ulbrich came by, but Toblin said no. Also, Sildar will apparently be investigating the town master's logs to see if he can find any information about Ulbrich that way. Trilena, Toblin's wife, came by and told Yoon about the terrible things the Red Brands had been doing. Apparently they went to the local woodcarver's shop, leered at the man's wife, and then when he stood up to them, was killed in broad daylight. The man's wife and children have disappeared since then as well. She worried that the Red Brands may have kidnapped them. Yoon, with a goal in mind, told Karin and Dustin that they should investigate the woodcarver's shop for clues. As they walked out of the Stonehill Inn, Dustin noticed a fight going on at the end of the road. Apparently Luke, Maddie and Aghanim have engaged the Red Brands at the Sleeping Giant. It was a quick fight. Out of the 4 Red Brands the party encountered, 3 were killed, while the last one ran into the tap house, shouting at his friends to help him. Everybody got ready for the rest of them to come out, stacking dead bodies in front of the door, barring the enemy's way out. The 4th man ran out, got his head smashed in by Karin, and he added to the pile of dead bodies at the door. The party heard shouts of people inside saying that they cannot get out, so the party decided they've done enough and left. Everyone got themselves rooms for the night at Stonehill Inn and left the planning for the next day. The party split up the next day to engage in various avenues of investigation. Yoon and Dustin decided to go scout the manor and see where the Red Brands are hiding out. Karin went to Halia Thornton, for she may be an ally in the coming conflicts. Maddie decided to go deliver a cart full of supplies to the Lion Shield Costa that they obtained in the Goblin Cave. Luke went to the Sleeping Giant again, and Aghanim went to the Townmaster's Hall to give the Townmaster a piece of his mind. Firstly, Luke had a couple of drinks at the Sleeping Giant, because you can't have a proper breakfast without some drinks. He saw that there's no Red Brands there that early in the day, and decided to go to the manor instead. Meanwhile, at the manor, Dustin shapeshifted into a rat, and with Yoon looked around the manor grounds. The building seemed to be in disarray. However, they managed to find a cellar door in the ruined kitchen. Seeing no immediate threats, snuck inside. Dustin went to check a dusty hallway, reporting nothing of note. Yoon, on the other hand, discovered a sleeping quarter of some Red Brands. On their way out, they found Luke. They declared that the cellar is the way in and decided to round up the rest of the group to storm the basement. Luke told them that he will stay at the manor and be a lookout while they're away. Next, we check in on Karin, who went to the Phandalin Miners' Exchange. There she found out that Halia Thornton is not a woman to be fucked with. When the Red Brands came to her looking for trouble, she cut off one of their manhoods, and since then they haven't messed with her. Halia offers Karin 100 gold pieces if she finds and kills Glassstaff. Her intentions for this seemed dubious, but Karin was quite enamored with the woman and she didn't question it. Meanwhile, Maddie had an awkward exchange with Lenine, the proprietor of the Lion Shield Costa. She thanks him for his service in returning the lost shipment and pays him in gold. He was tempted to keep it all to himself, but ultimately did share it with the rest of the party. Aghanim found a job listing outside the Townmaster's Hall. Apparently the Townmaster wishes to hire some people to take out the nearby band of orcs. He took the job and entered the hall. He mistook the secretary as the Townmaster's daughter, but luckily this didn't faze the stoic paladin. Inside he met up with Sildar, who had been meeting with Harbin Wester, the Townmaster. Sildar gives advice that maybe capturing a goblin might give the party insight into where Cragmore Castle may be. He also says that if the party finds Iarno Ulbrich, that they should let him know. The secretary told Aghanim that Mr. Wester will see him now, and the paladin entered the lavish study, where a fat, balding man greeted him. Aghanim immediately got to work grilling the Townmaster for his incompetence in the current Red Brand threat. Harbin told him that the Red Brands aren't really a problem, but this wasn't good enough for him. The paladin suggested permission to take on this group of thugs, but the Townmaster wasn't having any of it, instead suggesting that Aghanim go kill those pesky orcs instead. However, Aghanim did realize that Mr. Wester was sweating and stammering. There might be more going on than meets the eye. He took his leave, accepting the orc job. Karin went to see the local priest, Sister Garael, who allegedly has health potions. Garel, a devout of the goddess Timora, told Karin that she had a couple brewing at the moment, but they're not ready to sell yet. However, if Karin wishes to have them for free, she has a quest for her. If Karin was to present a valuable comb to the Banshee Agatha near Conyberry, the Banshee will allow them one question. Garel wants to ask her where the legendary spellbook of Bo Gentle is located. This seemed to be Garel's lifelong goal, and Karin said she'd see what her friends say. Yoon, on her way back to Stonehill Inn, decided to stop at the Sleeping Giant and to ask its dwarven owner Grista a few questions. Apparently Grista is happy that the Red Brands are around because, they've been good for business. So he doesn't care what they do as long as the coin keeps flowing in. Apparently Grista also knows Gundren, as their parents were friends. However, she doesn't have any information about Wayveker Cave or the location of Gundren's brothers. Eventually, the party gathered at Stonehill Inn, except for Luke, who was, still at the manor. They decided that maybe they should kidnap a Red Brand and interrogate them for more insight and information about their operations in Phandalin. Around the same time, Luke saw two members of the Red Brands make their way out of the cellar and into the town. The group makes their way to the Sleeping Giant to set up an ambush while Karin and Dustin went to fetch Luke. The two Red Brands that Luke saw earlier entered the tap house in the meantime, and Yoon pretended to be drunk and flirted with the better looking one of the two. He immediately asked his mate, George, to get him and the lady some drinks while the two of them went to a separate table. Aghanim immediately sprung into action, casting a charm spell on George, forcing him to follow the man outside. Then Dustin vine-whipped the man, and while Karin punched him in the face. The rest of the party quickly tied the man up and dragged him to the abandoned woodcarver's house. George, the poor Red Brand, he was interrogated by the party. He admitted they're responsible for Thaldendra, the woodcarver's, murder, and that they currently have his family locked up in the manor. All he knows is that the Red Brands are supposed to keep adventurers and troublemakers occupied while Glassstaff and his boss, the Black Spider, do more important work. When asked what Glassstaff looks like, George described him as a skinny man with dark hair wearing red robes wielding a staff made of glass. He doesn't know the man's real name though. When asked about the Red Brand's relationship with Townmaster, he admitted that the Red Brands threaten his family as long as he stays out of their business. The party left the man tied up and went to plan their next move. It was decided that they require a distraction of sorts to lead most of the Red Brands out of the manor while they sneak in and confront Glassstaff. Maddie and Luke thought of asking their new friend Darren whether he can be of assistance, while Aghanim, duty-bound, wanted permission from Harbin Wester for the uprising against the tyranny of the Red Brands. Karin thought it would be nice to give George a bath and to shave him in order to make him look a bit more like a normal citizen instead of the thug that he is. He could potentially be an asset for the uprising to come. Luke and Maddie went back to Edermath Orchard and found Darren had made some apple pie. He gladly shared it with the two of them, and they kind of started liking this man. Ultimately, Darren said that he will help with the distraction part of their plan. He has a couple of friends that can come out of retirement to aid Phandalin in this plight. However, they'd only get here in roughly 2 days. Meanwhile, Aghanim went back to Harbin Wester. The townmaster was afraid that the adventurers would be going a bit too far with this uprising plan and wanted no part of it, saying Aghanim must do what he wants as long as he keeps him and his family out of it. Yoon went around the town telling people about their plans. Most were relieved, but nearly all of them supported their plan, but won't physically be a part of it, which was good enough for our resident ranger. Karin asked Halia for help, but she simply reiterated that they should kill Glassstaff and the whole operation will fall, as far as she believes. The party returned to Stonehill Inn, shared everything they've learned over the course of the day, and decided to have a drinking competition. Everyone, except Luke and Maddie, could handle their liquor. A new day dawns over the frontier town of Phandalin. A group of upstarts entered the town and wanted to liberate it from the oppressive regime of the Red Brands and their mysterious leader, Glassstaff. And who is this Black Spider? And where are they going to find a goblin to interrogate? Only time will tell.